Hi, and welcome to the International Student Podcast by Prodigy Finance. My name is Cyndi Satram, and I am a community specialist here at Prodigy Finance. Today, we have a very special guest join us. We have Alexandra, who's a fellow South African. So I'm super excited. She is a recipient and a scholarship winner of the Esade Future Female Scholarship. And she's here today just to share her story and talk about how she has been living in Spain with the help of this scholarship. So welcome, Alexandra. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Cyndi. Thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here and to chat a little bit about the scholarship.
Awesome. So, Alex, you're currently in Spain at the moment. How are things going?
Yeah, Spain's amazing. I must say, definitely so different to home, but has so many of the similarities to South Africa that I love. It's warm, the people are really friendly, it's a vibrant life, it's a really busy place, and people are out and about all the time, and there's just a really exciting environment here. So, absolutely love it, and it's been incredible getting to study here.
Awesome. Has there been any cultural shocks for you coming from South Africa? I know it might have been quite a big adjustment. Was there anything really shocking for you now that you're living in Spain?
So I'm half Greek, so I'm lucky that I got to spend some of my childhood in Greece. So I was definitely a bit more used to the European way of life than maybe some other South Africans. But it's just a completely different lifestyle. And some of the things that are different are the most amazing things. Like the fact that these cities are so walkable. We don't have them in South Africa. And you walk everywhere and get to really experience the vibrancy of the city. That's one of my best things. And one of my favorite differences between the two that I've experienced.
Great. And so, for our listeners and our viewers today, if you weren't aware, Prodigy Finance is currently running a scholarship competition where you have an opportunity to win one of 8 scholarships totaling to the value of $39,000. And that's quite a significant amount for a international student. And Alex was a winner of the Esade Future Female Scholarship.
Yeah. Last year.
How did you hear about the scholarship, and then what inspired you to apply for it?
So the way I heard about the scholarship is, and this is really testament to the effort that Esade makes to help prospective students get there and to make it approachable and affordable for prospective students. So they shared this scholarship opportunity with, I think, the South Africans who were applying, or I'm not sure if it was the women who were applying, but I was in the thick of my application and very much in application mental zone. And I saw the email and I thought, let me apply. I know exactly how applications work these days. And I must be honest with you, Cyndi, I actually completely forgot that I'd applied until I got an email from Prodigy Finance saying, you've got the scholarship.
Wow, you are so lucky. So you were in the application phase of applying to study at Esade, and the school let you know about the scholarship opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and then that's when you applied for the scholarship. Wow. And how did you receive the news when you received the email from Prodigy saying you're a winner? And obviously you were completely oblivious to it all. How did you respond to that good news?
Yeah, so it was quite funny. I got this email from a woman called Nina from Prodigy Finance in the US who said, oh, you're one of the finalists. We would love to chat to you. And so we set up a time to call, and actually that phone call wasn't another interview. It was to let me know that I got the scholarship. So it was a very surprising, happy moment. And it was really, really nice to also deliver that message to my parents and to my family.
How did your family respond when they heard?
Yeah, also so pleasantly surprised and so happy. And just, I'm sure a lot of South Africans can relate to this, but no matter what your background is, applying to study overseas it's a bit daunting, just by the simple fact of, our currency and the differences in currency. So for anyone, I think it's a big challenge. So it was really nice to be able to deliver that message to my family that, there was a little bit of help coming their way.
For sure. And I think this actually applies to most international students. where you're coming from India or
Yeah.
from other parts of Africa, just to receive some great news that, you 5,000 US dollars as assistance to your studies. I'm sure it's such a relief and a weight off your shoulders.
Exactly.
How has the scholarship kind of helped you so far? Has it been applied to your tuition, or you using it for living expenses? How has this amount impacted your study abroad journey so far?
So it's been applied directly to my tuition. So it's just been that like little extra nudge that's been super helpful in making the tuition kind of an easier process.
Great. And tell us about what inspired you to study your master's abroad.
So it was always kind of a goal of mine to do my master's overseas. I think just for the experience of living somewhere different and learning from different people and from a different approach. I did my undergrad in the country I was born in South Africa. So always wanted to have kind of an international experience, and it's definitely been that. And what's also been so amazing is that it's not only an international experience by virtue of living somewhere else, but the entire cohort is international. I think it's something like 90% non-Spanish. So you really, really get to meet people from all over the world and broaden your worldview and your network in that way. It's amazing.
Wow. And I speak to a lot of students about this, and that is always the one common theme is around the ability to network, and these people, or your classmates, become friends for life. Have you been networking and connecting, and have you made lots of friends so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so lucky. I really, really feel like one of the best things to come out of this master's is the friendship group I've developed here. I'm just getting to speak to different people from all over the world every single day. And when I look at my close knit group of friends that I've managed to make here, they're from all over. We've got me, the South African, there's Germans, Portuguese people, Egyptians, there's people from all over. It's amazing.
Truly global. And I guess it just makes the world also feel so connected. Even though we're so far apart at distance, we're also really quite close in that way.
Yeah, completely. And it's just nice to know that as you go through life, and none of us know where we're going to end up, and we live in such a connected world now. I think most of us will end up working in different countries at one stage or another. It's amazing to know that pretty much anywhere in the world, you've now got a friend that you made at Esade, which is amazing.
Why did you choose Esade specifically?
So what really stood out to me about Esade was kind of evident from the application process already. They really trying to understand you as an individual and not just take you based on your academics or your GMAT score, even though, of course, at a top business school, that is really important. You really get the impression from early on that they really want to bring together a cohort of interesting, internationally minded people. And from my experience, that's what they've achieved. And so it was really, in addition to it being a really well respected and highly ranked business school, it seemed like socially and environmentally a great experience.
Amazing. I think a lot of students think that US is kind of their dream destination to study abroad because of all of these opportunities. But I think Europe has equal amount of opportunities.
For sure. And we're living in an ever changing world. And I think Europe's got a big role to play in that world. And I think it's an amazing hub of people from all over. It's a complete hub of diversity, just by virtue of how many cultures exist on this tiny little continent. And yeah, I think don't overlook Europe. In an ever changing world, we don't know what the future holds. And I think Europe has a really big role to play in the business world and the political world of the future. And I think it's a hub for diversity just because there's so many cultures on this small little continent. And so in an ever changing world, we don't know what the future holds. And I think Europe has a really big role to play in the business world and the political world of the future. And I think it's a hub for diversity just because there's so many cultures on this small little continent. And so I think people shouldn't overlook Europe. It's an amazing place to study and I think to work as well.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to stay in Europe and work? What are your future plans after you graduate?
So definitely, and that was one of the motivators of studying overseas as well, just does open all those doors. And I know that that is something that Prodigy Finance is aware of, and that's why it's your guys' mission to make it more accessible for international students to study overseas. And definitely doing my master's overseas has opened those doors for me and made those possibilities a reality, which is great. And that is definitely my plan in the short term. But long term, I definitely feel the responsibility and the pull to take what I'm going to learn overseas and bring those lessons back to South Africa and develop things at home.
Wow. So you plan to, in the long term, come back to South Africa?
Yeah, 100%. I think we are the most amazing country with so much potential and amazing people. And I'd love to contribute to business in South Africa.
Amazing. And I think that, with your international experience, it can really contribute. We have so much to learn from lots of other countries, but who better to have a South African who's just had the international experience and exposure come and give back to the community. So exciting stuff, Alex. Can you talk to us a little bit about the scholarship application process? I know you applied last year. But if you remember, what do you think about your application stood out to the review committee?
So the first thing I would say to prospective applicants is don't be intimidated because it's actually a really pain-free application. It's a short little, not even an essay, if it's the same as it was when I applied. It's really straightforward. If you are doing university applications, this one's going to seem really, really easy compared to some of the long, lengthy essays I'm sure you've been writing. So don't be intimidated by the process when applying for the scholarship. And then I think the feedback I got when I was given the scholarship was that they just appreciated like how the candidness of my application and the clear motivations for why I wanted to study overseas and how the scholarship would help me do that. And same motivations that I spoke to you about a moment ago. And so I've asked people applying for universities and for the scholarship in general, really try to show who you are and don't use ChatGPT, be yourself and let yourself shine through because I think that's what stands out.
Well, that's some really good advice. And yeah, just to amplify the message about ChatGPT, unfortunately, we have some ChatGPT checkers with the scholarship applications, so we can pick it up. And unfortunately, if you have used ChatGPT to any capacity, it immediately kind of disqualifies you from winning the scholarship. But I think this is so cool that Prodigy is really looking for genuine experiences, authentic voices and stories, and also how the scholarship can really transform your future and also those in your community.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as much as ChatGPT is an amazing tool, I just think the most important thing to remember is that it actually can't beat your genuine story and you telling your genuine motivations.
Great. So I just want to take a moment to talk about the title of the scholarship. It's the Future Female Scholarship. How does that resonate with you, and what does that mean for you?
I think I think it's really exciting that there's emphasis being placed on women in business, seeing as it goes to a business school. I think it's just something that girls need to know that it's something they could love and understand as well. I think something that happens is that boys are taught to speak about and be interested in business from a young age, and that's just not applied to girls. Something that I was quite surprised by is that that's definitely reflected in the demographics of my classroom and of, I think, business schools in general. I mean, the girls are in a serious minority in these degrees.
Do you think that at some point that will evolve, this whole kind of concept that business degrees are only for boys? Do you think that we kind of moving towards a world where more females would opt for these programs?
Definitely. And I think I don't have the numbers on hand, but I'm sure the numbers reflect that the trends are already moving in that direction. And I think my advice would be that there's actually nothing standing in goes ways as things stand in this current age. And so really the only thing is for you to decide to do it. Don't let intimidation keep you from stepping into these classrooms, because it's actually an amazing space.
Wow, I think that's so encouraging. Can you talk to us a little bit about, like what advice do you have for someone who's wanting to just study abroad? So you've given us some really great tips on the application process, but just generally for all of our listeners, if they are wanting to study in Europe and they feel so overwhelmed by this decision, do you have anything to say to those viewers and listeners?
I think the best advice is that the anticipation is always worse than the actual thing. And so sometimes it's like the intimidating thing of applying and will I get in, won't I get in, what happens if I get rejected, and all those things. And I think my biggest advice would be to just do it and like let fate see where you end up, and then just say yes. I think it's so important to say yes to opportunities and go for it, and to know that when you get there, at least this is my starting experience, there's a support system there for you. And it's like almost like going back to school. It's very nurturing and it's secure, and it's an amazing experience that everyone should, if the opportunity comes their way, take.
So if it wasn't for the scholarship, would you have still studied?
Okay, so I mean, I think something I would encourage people to do is really do your research on funding opportunities, because there's actually a lot of funding opportunities out there, and to kind of throw caution to the wind and apply to everything, because there's actually a lot of good initiatives out there that are really trying to make it more accessible for people to get these higher educations. That's what I would say. And I would also just encourage people to look at all the ways that they could structure their finances, and I think it's more doable than people would expect.
Did you look other places for scholarships?
For sure. And that's exactly as I say, that there are really cool foundations out there, and a lot of corporates have initiatives to send people to study. So, and that have like less restrictions than traditional student loans from banks. So I would really encourage people to look at all the ways that you could kind of structure your financing, and hopefully include Prodigy Finance in that.
Great. And any other preparation that you had to do to before making the decision to study your master's?
I would say to people, start early. Once you've made your decision, start early, because like any country in the world, there's paperwork and there's admin that you have to do. And so make sure to chat to alumni. Alumni are really happy to help you. The university is really happy to help you with all the kind of landing admin that you have to do. So get in ahead with that. But it's all manageable and it's all doable, and it's not a big hurdle. And my big piece of advice was, it's Spain and it's sunny, but pack warmly, because the winter is real.
Thanks for that. I'm sure this is where you miss South African weather.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Well, so summers in Spain, I heard, are beautiful. Have you experienced the summer in Spain yet?
I have, and it's amazing. And I think I definitely chose Spain in part because I thought the weather would be kind of not gloomy London, but it's still the Northern Hemisphere. So beware, it's winter.
Thanks for that. Maybe one day I'll be lucky enough to come and experience a European winter.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Alex. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today and talking to us. And once again, a huge congratulations. We've received thousands of applicants, and you were, one of the 5 lucky winners to win this scholarship. And we are so happy for you, and we're so excited to how your journey and how your future pans out.
Thank you so much, Cyndi, and thank you again to Prodigy Finance for the vote of confidence. It really was a big help in achieving one of my lifelong dreams. So thank you so much.
Great. And then just to our listeners, a reminder that we are currently having a scholarship competition where you can win one of 8 scholarships totaling to the value of $39,000 US. So to apply for the scholarship, you just visit the Prodigy Finance website, navigate towards the scholarship page, and then you complete an application directly from the page. So don't miss out. Thank you once again for joining. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with study abroad advice and tips from our global community.